None other than Troy Crowder. This kid was one of those guys that we didn't know much about, coming from junior hockey. All of a sudden, general manager Lou Lamoriello plucks him out from a junior team, calls him up, and we're going, who's this Troy Crowder kid? Now, he was a big kid. You know, you saw he was a big kid. You know, he didn't have a lot of snarl. He was very calm, cool, and collected. Very nice personality, nice guy. We were starting to get tougher a little bit early in our career. Even before Lou came, it was poor Joe Sorrell and me going into Philadelphia or wherever those tough buildings were, and, you know, having to do the scrapping and, you know, getting beat up sometimes. So as Lou came, we started to get tougher. He knew we needed a tougher team, and then we brought in the heavyweight, Troy Crowder. I'm going, how's this kid? He's got a baby face. He was big as a truck, big hands on him. All he did is to start his career was he goes the ultimate heavyweight champ, God rest his soul, Bob Probert, wonderful man, but feared by all. He was the Detroit Red Wings' tough left winger, great player, and known as the toughest guy in the National Hockey League. And Troy Crowder is going to challenge Bob Probert right here in New Jersey.
Here we go, Probert and Crowder.
And I'm going, oh my, you might be biting off a little more than you could chew. And sure enough, the big fella caught Probert a couple of times and got his sweater stuck over him, cut Bob Probert over the eye, and we're like sitting on the bench going, holy mackerel. So all of a sudden, that spreads like wildfire everywhere around the National Hockey League, every city. Who's this Troy Crowder kid? He just beat the heavyweight champion of the league. So now we start going to different cities, and I in particular remember we're going on a Western road trip, and we're going to Vancouver, and we go to Vancouver, we land at the airport, there's cameras there, there's media there. We're going, oh, the Devils, we're a big deal now. No, they were coming to see Troy Crowder, and next day in the paper, heavyweight champ comes to town. And yes, he got in a scrap there, and poor Craig Cox, who was a tough customer too, took a licking from Troy Crowder.
Here we go, Crowder and Cox. Cox has not fought in 2 years. He was put in this lineup to take on Crowder, and he's sorry he did.
And I remember sitting on the bench, and all I heard was that noise of that kind of smack, and I'm going, and it happened in 3 punches. I'm going, oh my, this kid's devastating, and he did it very calmly. And then all of a sudden, he's having a few scraps, and he fought some flyers, and he mopped them up pretty good. And we're going, this is great, because we used to get abused by them for a long time, especially in the early '80s, and now we at least could match them a little bit. Next time, I'll tell you about us going into Joe Louis Arena and the rematch between Troy Crowder and Bob Probert. We know how Troy Crowder took the league by storm, but now we go back to Joe Louis Arena, and everybody's talking a month before the rematch, and Probert's going to be frothing and ready to revenge himself against Troy Crowder and take over the crown again. So I will never forget this. Night before, Troy's calm. He's a little bit nervous because he knows what's happening. The papers, day before, tail of the tape. Crowder, Probert, they had height, weight, reach. I mean, it was insane. And before the game, there had to be 20,000 people there 90 minutes before the game. You never seen the building filled up for warm-up. They were ready for this scrap. Hockey night in Canada, I don't think they were doing the game. They flew in, Don Cherry, and everyone knows the great Don Cherry, just to watch this. Everybody wanted to see the rematch. And sure enough, nothing transpires the first period. You know, the tension's building, the fans are waiting for it. They didn't really cross paths, and I guess both guys were a little bit tentative at the time. So Randy McKay was with the Red Wings at the time, tough as nails. Randy McKay, we know what he did for us. Comes out and challenges me, and I guess he was kind of tapping the shoulder. He had to loosen the crowd up, and we had a pretty good scrap.
Oh, look at McKay and Daneyko, yeah. Look at these two hammering each other. My goodness.
Finally, within 2 minutes, right after it worked, there they go, the two big boys, Crowder and Probert, go at it.
They said, let's go, and away they go.
You know, it was a good fight. Troy might have had him early. I think Probert probably got the second half of it, and they ended up going again. But regardless, the outcome, Troy comes in, and he kind of looked like, I'm still here, I'm still alive. He was pretty pumped. Didn't matter how he did the second time. He was just pumped. A young 19-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid, fighting the great Bob Probert, who was the heavyweight champ. And that building went into a frenzy.
By the sound of things, that's what they all wanted to come to see.
It was amazing, and I'll never forget it. Troy Crowder was a legend for a couple of months, certainly, and went on to play for a few other teams. Great guy, great teammate, and boy, did he make us all feel a lot bigger, taller, heavier. He was one tough hombre.